In this magnificent land of abundance that we live in, we often take much of that bounty for granted. Few of us ever stop to consider the incredible amount of punishing work and back-breaking labor it takes to produce this spectacular and vital harvest. Much less the lives and dreams of the people who work the fields to produce it. It's worth considering, particularly the dreams. The people who move from farm to orchard to vineyard with the crops are called braceros, a Spanish word for those who work with their backs. The tens of thousands of men, women, and children whose stoop labor brings forth the golden harvest of the earth. From the orange groves of Southern California, through the bean fields and sugar beets of the Central Valley, the potatoes of Idaho and Oregon asparagus, to the apple orchards of Washington State, many, like the Dos Santos family, came to work the fields. The freedom the Dos Santos found on the long road paradoxically bound them like inescapable chains of iron. Theresa Dos Santos had a dream. More than anything else, she loved learning. So she didn't dream of being rich or famous. All she dreamed of was being able to go to the same school day after day. Because of how her family had to travel for their livelihood, this was impossible.
What news in the letter?
$10,000 down on Carlos's neighbor, that old man. Sell us that little house. Let us make payments.
Yeah, and I could go to my own school every day.
10,000. Why not 10 million?
Luis and Elenia Dos Santos came from simple, earthy backgrounds and had little education. So they were proud and happy that Theresa was so filled with the desire to learn and that Armando was following her example. The Dos Santos returned from the fields and a stop at the market this midweek afternoon. The day's work settled heavily on their shoulders, as usual.
Someday we'll have a big house in our own backyard. Don't waste your breath. Things like that don't happen for us. If I believe it, it'll happen. Dreamer.
Armando, come help your mother with the sack like a good boy.
This spirited and optimistic little girl was indeed a dreamer. And for such a believer in dreams, miracles often do happen.
Mom! Mama! Look what I found.
Do you know who this is? It's St. Theresa.
Yeah, the saint I was named for.
And you found it. How nice.
More than nice, Mama. This is very good news.
Theresa knew that her finding the portrait of her patron saint meant something very important. Of this she was absolutely and totally convinced. The world had not yet driven from Theresa the trust and belief in praying for a miracle. And the curious arrival of her namesake saint was all the encouragement she needed.
What you doing, praying for something else you can't have? That's my business. When will you learn, girl? When will I learn? At my new school. Like I said, praying for something you'll never get.
Theresa? What's the matter? You okay?
I just had such a strange dream. It was about you, Papa. You were shaking hands with a very important man. He's dressed in a fine suit. He has a red tie with little eagles and a big silver ring. All of us are there, Mama and Armando too. We're all so happy. Oh, I almost forgot. There's something there, like a big Valentine.
Maybe I want some chocolates, huh? It's just a dream, little one. Go back to sleep. Lots of work tomorrow, huh?
Over the next several weeks, Theresa had the same dream on 5 different occasions. And each time it was more vivid than before. The details about the man in the dream were always the same, always very specific. And more oddly, in each dream, there was always some kind of Valentine. By far, in the greatest number of cases, the victims of crime and vandalism are the people who can least afford it. On that fresh September day on the outskirts of Fresno, California, the Dos Santos family was robbed of their meager possessions and their humble home was barbarously vandalized.
This sort of thing really gets to me. Do you have any idea just what's missing?
Everything. Sleeping bags, blankets, lantern, stove, radio. When they didn't take, they busted up, you know?
Looks like you're missing something pretty important.
My picture of St. Theresa. She was in my wallet. Why'd they have to take her too?
Why us? We're so little as it is.
Well, at least we still have the van.
So what? It's useless.
Mama, Papa, look what I found. My picture of St. Theresa. She's safe. You silly girl. Look what happened. Who cares about your stupid wallet?
Children.
I pray to her. Everything will be okay. You'll see.
Theresa, listen. It's good to pray, but sometimes even a prayer isn't enough, you know?
You want to pray for something? Pray to get our things back. Okay, I will.
This is dispatch to D4. Do you copy?
This is D4. Go ahead.
Yes, Sandy.
They just picked up a couple of drunk kids on the highway with a pickup load of household stuff. Sounds like it could be yours. If you'd like, I can give you a ride into town and you can check it out.
Yeah, sure, let's go.
The Dos Santos family had no inkling of where the next turn would take them, but little Theresa knew in her heart, without doubt, it would carry her closer to an answered prayer. At the county municipal building, Luis and Elena Dos Santos worked with the officers to fill out a lengthy police report concerning the theft and vandalism.
I'm going to get a drink of water, Mama.
No one could ever tell Theresa that faith and prayer go unrewarded, particularly after what was about to happen.
Wait! Don't lose this. I'm sure it's very important.
Mama, Papa, the man from my dream.
Your daughter tells me you are Luis Dos Santos?
That's right.
I'm Senor Montoya, the new Mexican consul here in Fresno. As it turns out, it's most fortunate that I met your darling Theresa. I have been looking for you for some weeks now. Please come. My office is this way.
The string of circumstances and coincidences that brought together Luis Dos Santos and the Mexican consul in Fresno that afternoon, and what was to follow, challenged all probability.
Since this letter came in, my office has been trying to locate you.
The letter from a legal firm in Mexico City told of the death of Ernesto Calderon, a distant uncle of Luis. Luis had been subject to a search as he was the only heir to the man's estate. On the following day, the time limit for the search would run out and the inheritance due to Luis Dos Santos would revert to the state.
Ernesto was my mother's only brother. I never knew him.
You see the date? Today is the 14th. We have only until the end of business hours tomorrow in Mexico City to put this claim forward. Looks like you made it just in time.
Oh, thank you, senor. Thank you.
Luis Dos Santos, farm worker, received an estate of some $25,000. Theresa was not at all surprised by this turn of fortune. She knew all along good tidings were coming to them. She had no reason to disbelieve. And for the last part of her recurring dream, the strange appearance of the Valentine, that riddle too was soon to be answered. Within the month, a down payment was made on a small house. For the first time in many years, the Dos Santos family would not be following the crops. And Theresa, as she desired more than anything, finally got a school of her very own, where she could attend every day.
We have a new student starting today, Theresa Dos Santos. Theresa, say hello to your teacher, Mrs. Valentine.
A home, a school, and now a Valentine. Answered prayers seem to bring the sweetest bounty. For they are the results of the deepest wishes and fondest hopes. And sometimes it takes the purest and most innocent prayers of a child to be answered with a miracle.
Well, it's a miracle in that the chances that I would happen to go to the police station at that time, at the same time as they went to, and they stopped in just at the very same time I was there, the chances are infinitesimal that that would occur. Plus, this being the family that I had been looking for. But the miraculous part is her dream. She had dreamed of me and recognized me in the police station. That could not have happened on its own. There had to be a guiding power behind that.